Hello, everyone. My guest today is Arun Sivashankaran. He's the founder and CEO at Funnel Envy, a startup solving B2B website and marketing optimization challenges with a SaaS business model. He and his team have optimized websites for some of the largest brands in the world. As an engineer and serial entrepreneur, Arun wants to transform the way marketers experiment. Arun, are you ready to take us to the top?
Absolutely.
All right, this is a tough space. Optimizely, Unbounce, all kinds of no-touch solutions. How are you competing and what kinds of deals are you winning?
Well, we're first of all, from a market perspective, we're focused on B2B. I think B2B marketers have some unique challenges, and some of those challenges have been overlooked by a lot of vendors. Now, we're also partners with some of those companies that you mentioned. So it's really about what's the best solution for a customer based on the problems that they're trying to solve.
And so tell me about something you're saying. If a B2B, someone who has a B2B website is looking at you guys versus Optimizely, you'll win that deal because they're focused maybe more on like consumers or prosumers, people like that.
Well, first of all, we think about optimization and personalization as primarily a data problem, and delivering the right experience using data. Now, a lot of platforms like Optimize, they've primarily been focused on B2C customers, and so that's and that's fine. But they have different challenges than B2B customers. So we can take our data capabilities and integrate with Optimizely or service the customer ourselves. So we have some flexibility there. Ultimately, it's about delivering the right experience to our customers that ultimately turns into revenue. And so that's what we do.
Okay. And give me a general sense of the kind, the size of customers you're working with in terms of your average ACV. Are we talking 10 grand, 100 grand, 1,000? What's it typically?
Yeah, so we're from a SaaS perspective, we're still in the relatively early stages. So there's a pretty wide distribution, and we also do services. So from a product ACV perspective, that can run anywhere these days from like 30K to 100K.
That's pure SaaS annual.
That's the SaaS part of it, and then services optional, but they're additional on top of that because personalization, optimization, it's an interesting space, but it's also relatively new. So people have to understand kind of how to do it and be successful.
Over the past 12 months, what's the breakdown percentage-wise in terms of professional services revenue versus pure play SaaS revenue?
Over the last 12 months, we're about 70 services to products. So still have.
So 70% SaaS company.
No, other way around.
70% professional service.
More recently, we're starting to flip the other way. But you look at like trailing 12 months, it's about 30% SaaS revenue.
And so what's your team size today?
There's about 15 of us.
15. Okay, got it. So that gives me a sense. I mean, it sounds like you guys are really an agency. You saw this problem. Now you're developing a SaaS product to deliver a problem that a lot of your customers were having. That's
exactly right. Like we were an agency for years actually doing conversion optimization across like B2C, B2B, a wide variety of things. I'm a product guy by background, but it was a way for us to sort of learn about the space, learn about where the opportunities were, where ultimately the white space also build capability and knowledge. Over the last year, we have transitioned to a product company. So that's been fueled by a lot of the learnings and cash from the agency business.
Before you started that transition, give me a sense of the size of the agency. I mean, were you guys doing $1 million a year, $2 million a year? What generally where were you at?
A couple million a year.
Couple million a year. Okay. And what was the catalyst that made you start thinking about moving into software?
Well, actually, I was thinking about moving into software on day one. In fact, for one of the customers that I had, I built an integration between Marketo and Optimizely, and because I wanted to use the data that was in marketing automation to fuel better or to drive better sort of experiments and experiences on the website. That over the course of a lot of iteration and evolution led us to where we are now with the product.
Interesting. Okay, and year one was which year?
Year one was 2013. We started mid-2013.
The agency or the SaaS product? Okay.
The agency.
And the SaaS product, 2 years.
Years ago is what I technically consider, if you discount the first year or so of goofing off as a side project.
And what have you scaled to in terms of total customers now using the SaaS product?
There's 7 customers on the SaaS product.
Okay, 7, yeah. So this is kind of an enterprise-ish sale at $30,000 ACV minimum. But I can do some back of the napkin math there and assume you guys are doing somewhere north or somewhere around 20 grand a month in revenue, just pure play SaaS, right?
Right.
Yep, very good. And that comes, what is that, about 200 grand a year in pure play SaaS? Interesting. What does that kind of revenue predictability enable you to do from a hiring and growth perspective that you couldn't do when you were just an agency?
Well, nothing right now. I mean, we feel like, and with some of the new things that we're doing in the product, the pipeline's getting significantly bigger, and pilots are there, and things like that. But it's still early, right? So the hope is we build a lot more predictability in the pipeline to be able to do like the long term hiring and longer term moves that we want to make. But the nice thing about having the services as well to augment the product is we have a little bit of a hedge there and can play both sides of the equation.
Interesting. And what's growth looking like? Again, there's just SaaS today. Are you growing 100% year over year, 200%? What's it look like?
Well, shooting for 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you do over the past 12 months though? Do you know?
Product.
No, so like today you're doing, call it 17, 18 grand per month in revenue just on the SaaS side. If you go back 13 months, was that around 5 grand, 10 grand? Where was it at?
Oh, it was less than 5.
Sub 5. Okay, so really just launching.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
And where is most of the growth coming from just upselling your agency customers, or are there people entering your world strictly from SaaS, like the SaaS product side?
So there are some conversions that were happening. The problem is there's this little bit of a hangover with some of the agency customers of thinking of us as a product company now. There's quite a few now that are just coming into us from the SaaS side. We're not really approaching the market as an agency anymore.
Interesting. Okay, interesting. And in terms of churn, what's that look like?
None yet, actually. Well, sorry, that's not true. A couple years ago when we were running some pilots and it was just kind of an integration platform, we had some come through and churn like in the pilot phase. So if you count that as churn, I'm not sure. But we do annual contracts. We haven't had a customer churn yet that started an annual contract.
That's great. Any like downgrades? Is revenue churn also 0?
Yeah, revenue churn is 0.
Okay. Do you have
adding pretty aggressively to the platform? So again, still kind of building up capability as opposed to holding on and hoping people don't go away.
Have you honed in any of the economics yet, like CAC, ARPU, LTV, things like that?
No.
Yeah.
No, unit economics is a several year out problem. It's now we think we're sort of rounding the corner on that product market fit. We're releasing and piloting some new capability that I think is pretty compelling for our market, and that's where we're seeing all of the interest and growth. So it's really about pushing that forward, and we'll figure out the unit economics later.
Got it. And give me a last few questions here before we jump into the famous 5. Location-wise, where are you guys based?
Well, we're based in Millbrae, California, but we have a really distributed team.
Okay, so mainly remote.
Yeah, very remote.
And bootstrap to date or no?
Bootstrap to date.
I love that, man. Resist the urge.
Can't say that's going to be the case forever, but it's been good so far.
Have you had offers?
Yes, actually.
Why'd you say no?
Well, I think early on, I'm a fan of sort of constrained experimentation as a way to learn. It takes a while, but you don't get that sort of back pressure of scaling too quickly and all that. And look, having an agency, bootstrapping the software, failing a bunch of times. These are all things that we had to do and the struggles we had to go through to get to this point and hopefully have that future that we envision.
Yep. Why not just sell the agency so it's not a distraction and then triple, quadruple down on the SaaS?
Yeah, it's conversations I've had and something I've been thinking about. The flip side of that is what is the distraction of selling the agency and what does the net benefit of the agency bring? We've focused our agency business and the SaaS business to be attacking the same market and same set of problems. And we made the mistake before not doing it, and it was a huge distraction. Yeah. So I think we're in a better place now by solving a consistent set of problems with a consistent market and a much more focused market that the distraction is hopefully much less.
That's good. All right, let's wrap up, Arun, with the famous 5. Number 1, what's the last business book you read?
Radical Candor.
Radical Candor. Number 2, is there a CEO you're following or studying currently?
No, I could cast a pretty wide net.
Okay, good. Number 3, what's your favorite online tool for building a business?
Trello.
Number 4, how many hours of sleep are you getting every night?
I shoot for 7, but usually around the neighborhood of 6.
All right. And what's your situation? Married, single, you have kids?
Married, kids, 2 kids.
2? Okay. And how old are you?
How old am I or how old are the kids?
You.
Oh, 41.
41. Okay. Last question. What do you wish your 20-year-old self knew, Arun?
Slow down. Enjoy things. Yeah. That's pretty much.
There you guys have it from Arun. Slow down and enjoy. Back in 2013, launched an agency, grew it to a couple $1 million in revenue before just 2 years ago, launching and really starting thinking about a SaaS product related to funnels and optimization for B2B folks, not B2C folks, which obviously there's a lot of competition there already. He's scaling it. He's upselling agency customers on the SaaS product. They've done that to 7 so far, paying on average and minimum 30 grand per year on those deals. So they're doing, call it 20 grand per month right now. That's just the pure play SaaS revenue. Obviously they have cash from the agency fueling the growth of this side of the platform. Too early on many of the economics. Their team of 15 remote with him, Arun, based in California. One to watch, totally bootstrapped. Arun, thank you for taking us to the top.
Thanks, Nathan.